Today we're going to talk about what do you do when you buy something and you realize it was a bad purchase and you're going to lose money.
So this was a bad purchase. He bought this for me a while ago and I didn't want it. He thought I wanted it. I didn't want it. You're okay, come down. And we've lent it to people trying to get our money's worth out of it. And yeah, so I'm not sure what he's doing with it. If he even knows.
So we'll talk about the story of this Lincoln Navigator first. This is an 05 Navigator. It has 124,000 miles on it. I originally bought this a few years ago from my wife. We were in between. She kind of was done with her one van she had, thought she wanted a SUV, four-wheel drive. I found this. It was low miles. It was very clean, inside and out, and I thought it would suit her a little bit nicer than the typical Ford Explorer or Expedition or something like that. Long story short, brought it home, went over the thing, did a bunch of work to it. I actually have a video series of when I did the timing components of this thing. This is a 543 valve. We did cam followers, or we did cam phasers, tensioners, guides. I end up doing the oil pump and the lash adjusters and cam followers later. We did brake lines, maybe some power steering work if I recall. And I got it all done, and my wife drove it may have been before this. She drove it like twice, and she just didn't like it. It was too big for her. She just didn't care for it. It no longer has the air ride suspension on it. They're coil over front and rear struts, which was kind of attractive to me because I'm not really into that air ride stuff. It's like kind of a maintenance nightmare. But after I paid real money for it, she didn't like it. Well, after that, I'd put so much money into it, I thought, well, we'll keep it around as a backup. Nobody drove it. It sat around. I forced myself to drive it. It really wasn't for me. I liked that it had a hitch on the back. I could tow something with it, but again, it's just a Navigator. It's not a truck, and I prefer a truck. So we ended up loaning it to somebody, and it sat around, loaned it again, and lo and behold, here it is, a few years later, just sitting around. So what's the point of this? What constitutes a bad purchase? Why is this truck a bad purchase? Well, first off, when I bought it, I didn't get a steal on it, but it was a fair price for what it was. And I bought it with the intention of using it. So therefore, I paid just a little bit more than I normally do. Mistake number one. Mistake number two. I did all that work. She didn't like it. At that point, I should have evaluated that thing, decided what to do, and either done one of several things. We'll get into that in a minute. Mistake number three, you let them sit around too long, they cost more money. So, case in point, this thing needed tires before because they were low on tread. Now it needs tires because they're just dry rotted away. Those are gonna come apart. Now, after sitting around, we have a whole gamut of lights on. Airbag light, traction light, low tire pressure light. There was another light on earlier, but it's not on now. The good thing is, interior obviously still nice. It still runs good. It still drives good. One thing that's notorious about these Navigators, Expeditions, and F-150s is the steering shaft. The steering shaft that comes from outside the firewall down to the gearbox, the U-joints go bad. When those U-joints go bad, they get stiff. So you get that hard steer, easy steer, hard steer, easy steer as the U-joint is passing through its rotations. That needs taken care of. We did brakes on this thing shortly after we did the videos. Well, now the rotors are rusty from sitting around. It's beginning, I don't know if you can see here, we're starting to get some rust underneath from the rockers. It had some peeling on the rear gate. Well, now it's worse. Overall, still a really decent truck as far as running and driving. So the reality is, what's it going to cost me to get this thing back up to tip-top shape? The tires I can buy about $400 for a set of tires. And of course, I'll mount them and I'll use balancing beads, or I'll take them in and have them balanced. The lights that are on, probably a few $100s a piece. The battery is no good. I currently have my jump box on it. You see it showing 14.4. The alternator's working, but the battery's no good. So there's $60, $70 for a battery. And then the incidentals. It's been sitting long enough. We need to change oil. We need to change the fuel filter, change the air filter, make sure there's no mice issues. So now let's talk about the things you can do. What's the best thing to do with a bad purchase? Well, to understand what's the best thing, you have to say that the best thing to do depends on you. It depends on where you are in your life. Where you are in your life, where you are financially. For this, one option is to, as I would say, we call it rip the Band-Aid off. The best thing for us in this situation would have been realize that we have too much money in it, we don't want it, get it sold. Get rid of it, get as much money as we can back out of it, take that money out of your non-performing asset, turn it into something that can recover that money instead of letting something sit around for years and cost you more money, because not only does it need more repairs, it's getting older. It's getting older, and it plateaued a long time ago, and it's steadily decreasing in value every day. So a lot of times the rip off the Band-Aid method is the absolute best. Get rid of it, get your money back. Start investing your money in something else that can let you recover from this, rather than let it sit around, because you have to figure all the money you spent on this has been tied up now for a few years. How much money could that have made, even at a loss, if you had it for a few years? Next option for us is to part it out. I did all that work to that motor. I'm not afraid of that motor. It runs fantastic. It had been sitting now for, when we went to go get it, for almost 10 months. The battery was dead. We checked the oil. We checked the antifreeze. We turned the key over, cranked it. It fired up quiet as a church mouse, smooth as glass. I'm not afraid of that motor. Transmission shift's good. Transfer case, that's kind of a Lincoln auto four-wheel drive type deal, but we could part this thing out. It will take me forever to part that thing out and get my money back. I will have to part it out piece by piece by piece for so long, but that's an option. But if you figure your time versus how much money you're going to recover, difference. If I sold this today, I'm probably going to lose about $2,000 on this truck. Now, I could lose that $2,000, or I could pull that motor out. I could pull that transmission out. Those transmissions go bad in F-150s all the time. The reverse band breaks, okay? Man, I don't want to say that too loud. I don't want that to happen to this. I could pull that out, use it in another truck, recover some of that money in another truck, part out the rest. Sell the wheels off. They're still in good shape. Number of people that need them is getting smaller and smaller by the day. It's an 05. It's almost 15 years old now. But that's an option. We could do that. We could part the thing out and recover our money and take forever, but actually get all the money back out. But then you have to think about how much time you have invested and how much is your time worth. So are you really just stepping over dollars to pick up nickels? Yes, Doug. That's what I just said. Stepping over dollars to pick up nickels. Or you could do something else. The third option for us would be to donate that thing. Give it to someone who's willing to spend a little bit of money, making it what they need. It's a good truck. It runs good. It just needs some attention, you know. But you have to be careful, because if you're going to give it to someone, you don't want to do somebody a disservice. If someone doesn't have the means to buy their own vehicle, the likeliness that they have the means to get this taken care of and this taken care of and this taken care of is probably not real great. And I'm not a rich man. I can't afford to put all this money into it and give it away. You know, I can only do so much. So there's the options I see. What made this thing a bad purchase was two things. Well, several things. One, I paid a little bit more for it because I was buying it for my wife. Two, she didn't like it. I spent more money on it making it better for my wife. I'd actually bought brand new tires. They were takeoffs from another truck that we were going to put on this thing. Never did. In fact, I think I've sold them since. The other thing that made it a bad purchase is how long it's been tied up. So for us, the best thing to do is see what we can do. I'm going to put it up for sale. It's a shame, but I think the best I'm going to get out of this, I'm going to lose at least $2,000. But it is what it is. If I don't get any bites and I'm going to lose $2,000, then I'm going to take it apart. So I have plan A, plan B, plan C. I will see if I can sell it, or 2, we'll part it out, or 3rd, we'll end up giving it away to somebody. I thought about making it a backup vehicle for my daughter for wintertime. If she has trouble with hers, she can jump in this one and be on her way. So we may still do that. But anyways, there's my advice on what to do with what we call a loser. So if you got one that's going to be a loser, you have to figure out what's best in your situation. There's no way for anyone to tell you exactly what's the best thing to do. In this case, what I think I should have done was dumped it, got rid of it, sold it off, took my loss back then, and be done with it. Because remember, every day it sits, every day you have it, it's getting older and older and older. And the likeliness you're going to have more and more troubles as it ages are just increasing. And this is a perfect example. All right, guys, that's all we got for today. This battery is so bad, my jump box wouldn't start it. I had to have jumper cables to my Dodge, and I ran 2 sets, 1 to each battery, so I could get enough amperage to overcome this junk battery. But now it's running. One thing I failed to mention was don't fill the comments full of just give it to me, because my experience has been when you find people that are always looking for that handout, that free gimme, those are rarely ever the people that are willing to be struggling and hand over and help other people. The people that I would consider giving this to would be people that I personally know, and I know they're struggling, and even though they're struggling, they're helping other people, and they would never ask for a handout, and they'll have to be convinced to take it. That's the person I'll give it to. Far too often, there's too many people in the world who are like this with greed. They're doing okay, but they're still willing to take a handout because they're greedy. That's not the person we're looking for. If we give it away, it'll be someone who we feel really needs a hand. So don't fill my comments full of give it to me, because it ain't gonna do any good. Because that person that I'm looking for would never say that.